Oh no.
Oh my god.
Storm died last night. Oh my god.
So, Heavy,
I was just bouncing around and then it murdered me.
Heavy, I'll be forever. I'm muted. Oh. Why, hello there. What a goose. I agree, Jam. That was definitely goose behavior. Hi, Phil. Alright. I need to get SMT3 out of my PS4. That game was super rude to me this morning. The final dungeon in SMT3 is super cruel. Oh. Wait, Jordan, you saw the new voice commands last night, right? Toad 2, and Wario. I think they're some of our best work, to be honest. 8. Why? I did see the toads. Yes. Perfect.
Oh my god!
Okay. Guys, process of elimination. We're doing it. It's time to resume. Oh! It has the worst Megami final dungeon. Natalie, the save points are so spread out, and every map, every battle you get into, the enemies spam instant kills. It's so mean. And even if they're not using instant kills, they're doing moves that could one-shot you. Yes, so no, that is the endgame. You put null light and null dark. If you don't have them, you're fucked. But I didn't even die to an instant kill the last death I had this morning. I got Iron Clawed. Oh, it's time for the, yeah. It's time for Gourmet Detective for Armin. So wait, let's recap what happened yesterday. So, Best Girl Detective died and is now haunting us as a ghost. She was killed by the target machine. I had a theory that she was inside Armor Detective's armor, and now I don't think that. She's just a ghost and / like plot device. It's really effing weird. And we seem to have inherited her ability. So now we're able to predict the future like That's So Raven style. And we have to prevent the tragedies that we see from happening. It's the future we can see. Being haunted by a wife is a reason for me to play. Well, perhaps, Nano. Welcome. Happy Sunday. I don't quite know what to say about this. I actually don't know in my mind if I like that this is happening or not. But I think we're just gonna go with it. It feels more like a survival game now with it. I'm definitely wondering how this is gonna play out. Alright, here we go. I think she's actually dead, Jam. And I think our conspiracy theory about Armor Detective is just... it's just moot. So now we need to see where the game goes from here. Also, cheers, Armin. I don't know if that means you're drinking, but I do have a glass of wine. There was some good Sauve Blanc at Trader Joe's, and I just couldn't pass it up. If she's dead or haunting us, I have problems. I mean, I knew you had problems. Does this need to be one of them? I don't know. I open it to see Armor and Doleful. They've come to tell me that Mystics made breakfasts. Right, he made beans and toast. Thanks, guys. I'm a little sweaty. So I'm gonna jump in the shower before heading to the dining room. Understood! Mystic's home cooking is delicious, just so you know. We'll go on ahead and get started. He did just dream everybody was dead, true. And, okay, a little bit more about that dream/vision. We can rule out everybody he saw dead as not being the Duke. Downtown, Doleful, Workaholic, Bookie, Rowdy. Those 5 were either directly talked about or seen. So, okay, remember I said that he can, like, That's So Raven about the Truth Jam? So, he saw a vision of a bunch of the other detectives dead in the lobby area. And the ones that the game either showed in the picture or directly spoke about were those 5 that I just listed. So, Workaholic, Downtown, Rowdy, Doleful, and, Bookie. Right, and when he's dreaming, Ideal is alive again. Like, it's really fucking weird. Maybe because it's her ability, we don't really know why. And we also don't know why we have her ability. I also, in my head, I was theorizing, like, what if she was never alive in the first place? Like, what if she did die when they were kids? But that wouldn't make sense because so many people knew her. Once they leave, I take the towel prepared for me in my room and head to the bathroom on the 2nd floor, but right at that moment... Off to the shower then, are we? For some reason, Holmes acts like tagging along is the normal thing to do here. Huh? Why are you following me? I'm about to take a shower. Can't you wait in my room or at the dining table? Oh, now, listen to what you're saying. Didn't I tell you at the start that we can't be separated? Huh? You mean you can't move away from me no matter how hard you try? So it would seem. Think of me as a dog on a leash. I simply get pulled along wherever you're heading. So, but what about when she goes to other people's rooms? Does that not follow the same rules? Like, what? It's not as if it'll hurt if I see something. Besides, you don't mind anyway, do you? Well, she's already a way better character than Shinigami. Shinigami was honestly trashed here. Of course I mind. Do you have any idea how embarrassing it is to have a girl watch me shower? Well, isn't that selfish of you? Fine then. I'll be waiting just outside. Okay. But do remember that I'm a ghost now. I can't help it if I happen to sneak a peek every once in a while. It sounds like you're already planning to. After showering, I head down to the dining room. The detectives have gathered around the long table, just as they did last night. But unlike yesterday, no one needs to stand guard, meaning this time the entire group is clustered together. Oh my gosh, Mystic, this is delish. I'm like totally a British foodie now. Do not embrace me so tightly, downtown detective. My earthly travels have earned me much skill with preserved foods, such as these. Flirting with students, you old sleazebag of a father. The girl grumbled, scowling at the sausages on her plate. Easy now. Downtown is touchy-feely with everyone. Let's not blow things out of proportion. It's all oh so scrumptious. Especially these sandwiches, the aroma of the wine vinegar, these fresh, juicy cucumbers. You know what? I have half a mind to just resume with the Cock Destroyer voice. I know I did it as a joke that one time, but like, you can't make this shit up. You just tell me how it's prepared, Mystic, so I can add it to my recipe book. You'd be procrastinator. Yeah, so they all have code names because they're detectives. That could be your trait, I don't know. Yeah, I'd like it too. Even my mentor back at my part-time job could probably handle making these. But of course, in addition, I shall also impart the provincial British folklore associated with these sandwiches. Mystic proceeds to give Gourmet and me the recipe, along with the ghost story I don't really follow. As we eat, the conversation naturally turns to everyone's reports from yesterday. So, I've low-key been waiting for this song to play so that I could review the character cards, because I like this song. I feel like this is like the theme of the game for me. Where like when this is playing, I'm like, ooh, yeah, cool, let's figure some shit out. So we already read the bio of the main character. We read his and we read Ideals yesterday before we ended stream. Or before we played Among Us, rather. But, this one does make note of her future sight ability. So I'm thinking there might be some more important information crammed into the other characters' bios. Renegade Detective is apparently rank number 4. Notable cases: the case of the Shinjuku Rainwalker, the Nanase Conference case. Hobby: volunteering. Isn't he a murderer? Special skill is criminal psychology, right, because he's a murderer. Famed for being the most aberrant agent within the DA, he lacks any semblance of ethics, often resorting to dubious methods to apprehend criminals. Given the chance, he will kill culprits, albeit indirectly. As his own past is riddled with murder, he is fitted with an explosive collar device known as the Decapitation Rabbit, and is typically held under house arrest in his apartment-esque prison. Be that as it may, his deductive faculties and familiarity with the criminal mind keep him in high esteem. He has been granted a degree of freedom to assist with major criminal cases, designated as Q incidents. So, wait. They literally have an explosive collar on him in case if he gets out of line. That's probably important for us to know. Alright, Posh Detective, rank 5, wow. The case of the altered Mona Lisa. Hobbies: vegetable gardening, fine art. Special skill: aesthetic eye. A descendant of the world-famous Pinkerton National Detective Agency's founder. Haughty and conceited, she views Ideal Detective as her rival. Highly skilled in her own right, particularly in her sense of aesthetics, she was trained from youth to spot fakes and forgeries, a skill she boasts top accuracy for within the DA. She is, however, heavily reliant upon her organization, often struggling to display her full potential during solo investigations. I think she is my favorite character, but I kind of see her dying. I think the note about her being able to spot fakes and forgeries is interesting. Okay. Mystic Detective is rank 7. That's really high. Notable cases. The case with the lycanthrope? Hobbies, amulets, mainly dolls, reading. Special skill, occult investigation. A veteran detective specializing in cases with strong supernatural elements. While investigating the case of the vampire, he scoured the globe far and wide for any and all knowledge of the occult. While he tends to suspect that unearthly forces are at play in his cases, it does not mean that he cannot separate fiction from reality, but rather that he is the type of man who does not exclude any possibilities. When in a tranquil state of mind, his investigative prowess is first-rate among members of the detective force. So he seems good to have around, but I feel like we actually don't really get a lot out of his bio. He's traveled the world, and he's open to new ideas. That's really all we get from this. Gourmet Detective. Notable cases, the case of the sea turtle soup. Visiting rest stops is her hobby? What? Special skills, super palate. A woman with such exceptional olfactory and gustatory senses that she can even use them to infer the feelings of others.
Pardonnez-moi.
Do not. How dare you? I love Bude! How does that make any sense? She's so good at, detecting taste and flavor that she can infer the feelings of others? Like, what? Since her youth, she has sampled every flavor imaginable, gaining both an immunity to and taste for various poisons. She can literally taste how others are feeling. She has a gentle demeanor, but detests killers above all for robbing people of the freedom to enjoy food. Her passion arises when saving lives and stopping criminals. Do you think she licks them? She can taste lies like a JoJo's character? Is there somebody in JoJo's that does that? I feel like she is the weirdest, but I like that she has a poison immunity. I feel like that could play into the game later. Workaholic Detective is ranked 10. His notable case is the case of the endless night shift. Under night inbirth? Hobby, online mahjong. Oh, he's fucking Malfagor! Special skills, reliable investigation. Additional notes, an office worker moonlighting as a detective. His demeanor is that of the quintessential Japanese man. He had aspired to become a detective for years, and upon learning of the DA's existence, begged both his wife and employer to allow him to take on the extra job. Even now, after a long day at the office, he forgoes sleep in favor of detective work, only deepening the bags under his eyes. Not visible in the drawing, by the way. Okay. I do like Workaholic Detective. He's just very reasonable and calm, and I like characters like that. Okay, Doleful is ranked 14. Case of Building number 6 is the notable case. Spending time at home is his hobby. Danger Magnet is his special skill. A rather negative individual with a strong aversion to social situations. He has an uncanny tendency to attract danger, aptly referred to as the Danger Magnet. His ability to detect threats has helped him survive numerous perils, and truly shines in more hazardous cases. Even prior to joining the Alliance or becoming a detective, he stumbled upon numerous incidents by chance. The sheer number of cases he solved is proof enough that he can go toe-to-toe with the DA's finest. Techie detective. Rank 20. Case of the VR killers is notable case. Hobby tinkering with machinery. Engineering forensic friends is his special skill. A wheelchair user who was born with cerebral palsy, oh that's sad, which prevents the use of his legs. His intellect, on the other hand, far surpasses that of the average person. As the brightest prodigy in the DA, he has already earned a PhD in science from an overseas university. He often collaborates with the DA's tech department, developing his own specialized wheelchair, as well as the 7 forensic friends, a small machines designed to assist with investigations. During cases, he relies on his friends to produce data beyond the scope of normal detectives. I feel like I don't trust him, but it is what it is. Bookworm detective, rank 15. Notable case, the case of the Jujo family treasure. Hobbies, reading, visiting the library. Special skill, photographic memory. Okay, that's cool. A girl of 11 years, God bless anime, who has read more than 10,000 books, any of which she can recite word for word due to her powerful memory. Both of her parents were murdered by a teacher she had admired. Oh, wow. Causing her to develop a lack of empathy and trust toward others. She has a tendency to approach things from a third-person perspective. Why does she... Her bio is noticeably shorter than the other characters. I wonder... Downtown detective. The case of the Ikebukuro Ripper. After-school karaoke is her hobby. Social deduction is her skill. What is that about? A high school student with investigative prowess beyond her years. This, along with her good looks, have caught the eyes of many. She stays up to date with the latest gossip via intel networks, characteristic of a high school girl. Her special brand of social investigation involves utilizing social media communities to discuss case details and piece together multiple theories. So in other words, she's completely useless when she's off the grid. Got it! That's why her analyzation is 1. Wait, look at all of her skills, she's terrible! Assistance 10, because she Googles things. Okay. Armor detective, number 32. Case of the undead cyborg. Hobby weight training. Skill protection. An individual never seen without his nightly suit of armor. He is unusual detective. Cracks cases with both his natural strength and features built into his protective garments. While he struggles with brain work, he's managed to solve crimes through tenacity alone. Apparently his face was scarred in a past case, so he refuses to remove his helmet if he can help it. Rowdy detective. The Mina Mijuji kidnapping incident was her famous case. Hobbies. Hanafuda. I don't know what that is. Mountain climbing. Let's look it up. Hanafuda is a traditional Japanese playing card game that uses cards featuring natural motifs and illustrations of plants, animals, and other symbols. It apparently originated in Portugal. Interesting. Like card poetry game. I'm surprised. I have never heard of that, Rosen. Though straightforward and aggressive, Rowdy possesses a pure, sensitive heart and is easily moved to tears. Having lived in the mountains from a young age, she aided her father with his hunting, gaining physical strength and keen bestial instincts well beyond the average humans, allowing her to solve difficult cases through sheer might alone. Of particular note is her intuition, which is so sharp that it is essentially supernatural. When presented with a group of face-down cards and instructed to turn over matching pairs, she made not even a single mistake. Nintendo made Hanafuda cards before they went into video games? Say what?! That is such a cool tidbit of information! Wow! Thank you for sharing that, Bubble Wand. That's super cool. Okay, wait, senior detective. Retired permanently, if you ask me. Hobbies, people watching, and do-it-yourself. Architectural design. A veteran detective who, like Vidocq, survived the Dayless Night incident and helped to found the Detective Alliance. During one particular case, he made a grave error that resulted in a loss of life and his subsequent retirement. He now works behind the scenes, scouting and mentoring promising young detectives. Okay, so I feel we gained some interesting insight, actually, by reviewing these, so wonderful. I combed the manor from top to bottom, but as expected, the only way in or out is the front door. There is no way for anyone to escape. So who's number one? I don't know that they've said exactly who number one is. Maybe Vidocq? That person mentioned in Senior Detective's profile? I think our main character is actually a Coco head this time. It would have expedited our search considerably if we had found another secret passage like the one behind the painting. I got bored, so I also scoped the manor out. Didn't turn up anything particularly suspicious though. But as luck would have it, I did come across the blueprints to this manor in the study. Did you say blueprints? How can you just offhandedly bring up something so important? I guess that's just the difference between number 4 and number 5, eh? Just read all the profiles, so... Yeah, show us at once, you dingy mophead! Everyone looks at the blueprints spread across the table. Even at a glance, you can see the suspicious space behind the painting. If there really is another hidden passageway, we should be able to find it in these floor plans. However, no matter how hard we scrutinize them, we can't see any area where another hidden passage could exist. Like I thought, the only way out is to start knocking walls down. Say the word and I shall lay down my life for my compatriots. I stand ready and willing to cross blades with that wicked contraption. Can't do that. We all need to make it out of here together. Dolfo's right, you know. Fortunately, we have plenty of food, so waiting until help arrives is the best course of action. Yeah, I'm down with that too. HQ probably noticed our comms are on the fritz, so they should send help once they realize something's up. Plus, we got like a whole squad here. All we gotta do is hunker down and keep each other safe. I must agree with downtown. I looked outside this morning and spotted that black machine still circling the manor. Instead of panicking and trying to escape, we should remain calm and continue our investigation of the building's interior. I too find no fault in this plan. The study is filled with books, so at least we won't be bored, said the girl, sharing a rather useless tidbit of information. Just then I hear someone laugh. Oh yeah, someone. I wonder who it was. We all turn to look, only to see Renegade Detective grinning. He begins to speak, his voice dripping with mockery.
Nothing
Nothing to do but wait, keep calm and investigate. So happy-go-lucky. I bet the culprit's having a laugh of their own right now. What do you mean? Doesn't something feel off about this? Us sitting around, enjoying a warm meal? Remember, the culprit predicted our every move in order to imprison us in this manner. Oh. What Renegade Detective is saying suddenly makes sense. If the culprit wanted to annihilate us, there would be no need to go to such lengths. They destroyed the lock. Had they destroyed the lock on the door, we'd have all died to that machine. They also could have gotten rid of our food supply beforehand. So let's do as Holmes would and face the reality before us to reason out what our perpetrator is plotting. This manner is easily sustainable. With that in mind, what is the culprit's true goal here? Imprisoning us? I don't know. What do we think? Imprisoning us at the manor, I guess? Imprisoning us in the manor. In other words, forcing us to burn up our time here. Splendid answer, incompetent. Basically, us sitting here in roasted idle chit-chat is exactly what the quartering dude wants. We keep twiddling our thumbs like this, it'll just lead to an even greater calamity. Guaranteed! The dining room falls silent. Cheery atmosphere suddenly turns frosty. Whose feet are those in the top of the screen? Could that be Mystic Detective? The catastrophic scene from my dream flashes in the back of my mind. We can't keep going on like business as usual. If we do, we'll never manage to avoid that fate. Renegade Detective is absolutely right, but he clearly gets a kick out of inciting chaos. We can't rely on him to help us avert catastrophe. Conventional behaviors won't shape fate. You're going to need serious resolve if you intend to change it. This is it, Watto. Show me what you'll do. Okay. After receiving a proverbial push on the back from Holmes, I make up my mind. I've got practically zero confidence in myself, but if I want to save everyone, I'm gonna have to take action. What everyone needs right now is hope. Suffice it to say, they want to avoid being trapped here like the enemy wants. If I have to lie, then so be it. I've got to propose something that can break this deadlock. You just said the H word. But I have no plan in mind, and Holmes is staying silent on this. No, wait. Maybe they'll pay attention if it's Holmes' words they're listening. I make a bluff. It's a double-edged sword, and if I'm caught, none of them will ever trust me again. But it's the only way I can think of. Hold on a second, I just remembered something important. I fight past the stammering and get my words out. All eyes on me, my breath catches in my throat. It's over if they figure out I'm lying. I can't falter now. My body is moments away from shaking, but I need it to keep it under control and begin to speak. There's actually another hidden passage in the manor. We need to find it and get out of here as soon as possible. Silence. My outburst takes everyone by surprise. They all just sit there staring at me in amazement. That was terrible. Another hidden passage? And how would you, a fresh-faced recruit, be privy to this information? Information even a high-ranking detective such as myself is unaware of at that. It's laughable, ridiculous. Holmes told me before she died. She said I should look for it if I was ever in real trouble. You heard this from Ideal? Bosch detective falls silent. Holmes's words are the chief's after all. Not to mention, everyone here knows that the chief was fond of me. It's compelling enough, if only just. As I predicted, the effect is immediate. What else did the chief say, incompetent? Ah, sorry, that was it. How prudent, though of course she always was. In that case, how about we split into two teams and investigate? And why, pray tell, must we form teams at all? I am quite capable on my own, I'll have you know. Because I'd like you all to install these surveillance cameras I made last night in key locations on the first and second floor. Techie takes out a large handful of small cameras from a cardboard box at his feet, laying them on the table with Rowdy's help. Is this what you meant when you said you were going to prepare something last night? Of course! The culprit could be hiding in the manor, so I figured these would be indispensable. They're modified from the cameras on downtown smartphones, so they're not too durable, but I can use my tablet to monitor all the feeds. Downtown smartphones? As in multiple? No duh. I've got one for work, friends, gaming, detectiving. You get the picture. Good to know they came in handy. It'd be unnerving for any of us to not know where each of them is set up, so I'll share their locations with everyone as we go. Moving around with all 12 of us would be difficult though, so I'd like us to split into 2 groups of 6, one for each floor. No complaints here. Me neither. Working in groups will be much safer too. Magnificent as always, Sir Techie. Needless to say, you have my fullest cooperation. Monitoring the quartering Duke's movements will make it hard for him to strike. It's an excellent plan. The rest of the detectives follow downtown and me with their seals of approval. Drat it all. Now I've been made to appear self-serving. Do you have even a shred of self-awareness, Princess All About Me? Hold your tongue, you bespeckled sheepdog. If it is for the best that I tag along, then so be it. Despite Pasha's huffing and puffing, she eventually acquiesces to Techie's suggestion, after which we split ourselves into 2 teams. After much discussion, I find myself in a team with these 5 detectives. I feel bad thinking it, but I'm relieved to not be working with Renegade and Posh. There's likely to be less trouble that way. Wait! We're in charge on the first floor, Renegade. Don't just wander off! It seems the other group, or at least Workaholic, is already having trouble. His shouting continues as the second team exits calmly. As we climb the stairs to the second floor, Holmes calls out to me in a soft voice. Nicely done with that trick you pulled to get everyone searching for a secret passage. If I didn't know better, I think I gave you the idea myself. I guess it went pretty well for something I made up on the spot. Obviously, I wasn't told anything about another passage. It was simply a lie to give everyone a goal to work together on. At the very least, it'll prevent us from just dawdling about until catastrophe strikes. This is the first step to preventing that tragedy. You've grown quite a glib tongue, the way you've used me as a pretext to steer the other detectives. Gee, thanks. Being forced to listen to your constant teasing must have paid off. Wonderful. Sarcasm is always a good sign. Keep that mindset and use it to sharpen your skills as a detective. Though of course, your head will be on the chopping block if you don't manage to find a hidden passage. Are you alright with that? Yes, my mind is set on this. If we do nothing, I'll die alongside the rest. Better to take a gamble and bank on the remote chance that there really is a secret way out. We detectives don't act. How else are we going to prevent tragedies? Looks like the guest rooms on the second floor have the exact same layout as the ones on the first. Oh yeah? You think they're the same size too? I should have snapped a pic of the blueprints while I had a chance. The dimensions and decor are exactly the same. Doors, however, are a bit crooked compared to those on the ground floor. That's why they're hard to open, said the girl in response to downtown. So, TLDR, they just straight up weren't put in right. This place is like super swanky though. Why get sloppy with only the doors? Wait, hold up, did you figure out all that just by looking? Damn girl, that's crazy! Bookie's abilities allow her to recall anything, even after a single glimpse. If she states as much, then it must be true. Abilities? Like some kind of superpower? No, total recall is rare, but not impossiple. It's classified in medical fields as highly superior autobiographical memory, or hypertimesia. Lady Bookworm, you are a marvel. Consider me astounded. She seems to be upset about something. Find the volume if you would. This ability requires complete concentration. That the surveillance camera has been installed in the corner of the room. Let us proceed to the next. So they're putting them in their rooms. That's interesting. I guess they don't care about privacy at all? We check the other rooms, and as Bookworm said, they all share the same arrangement. Aside from that, we find nothing of note. The only oddity is that the doors to every room are crooked in comparison to those on the first floor, a fact Bookworm has also pointed out. How's he gonna talk with his ghost now? True! Well, she can read his thoughts, so he doesn't need to actually speak the words aloud. I was so busy searching for Senior Detective that I didn't realize yesterday, but they really are hard to open. It's impossible to notice now. Not to notice now. Pray tell, wherefore are the doors askew? They prove quite a challenge to open. Isn't this manor built on like a volcano or something? Maybe there was an earthquake and everything got all bent out of shape. Wait, the manor's built on a volcano? Apparently, I'm just telling you what I heard from the chief. In that case, why would this island of all places be chosen as the DA's headquarters? I mean, an island with a volcano is like, ondo dangerous, so most people wouldn't want to live here, right? Mord's topography is optimal for warding off intruders, thus making it a prime hideout locale even. Its inhospitality, though, is a double-edged sword. Then the knave who slipped into our high command and slew the research facility members is quite formidable indeed. We must needs remain vigilant? Typo? Or perhaps they had no need to sneak in at all. Whatever the case, on to the next location. That'd be the second floor living room. I noticed something strange as we follow the convoluted hallway toward the living room. Huh? Who left this door open? We pass through the door and enter the room. Apart from the lack of a fireplace, its layout is identical to the on the first floor. It seemed empty, so it was glossed over during yesterday's sweep, but upon closer inspection, it's obviously bizarre compared to the others. This room is lame. Like, where's all the furniture? Just looking at it is a snooze fest. It's not a typo because they say it a lot in FF14. Wait, is it really a saying? We must needs? It just... Wow. English is honestly a screwed up language. Ask Tux, he'll recite it for you. Alright, I will. I'm gonna go and snag another glass of wine real quick, and then we're gonna continue, so give me a sec. Why, yes, I am back. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like the way this game is gonna go is that each chapter, the Quartering Duke is gonna kill off more of the existing casts. And really, if we wanted to Steins Gate this in the matter of convergence, let's say we have a vision about them all being dead in the main hall. But we prevent that only to have those characters be murdered later. Meaning the people that are gonna die in some order are Downtown, Doleful, Mystic, Wookie, Workaholic, and I think I'm forgetting Rowdy. So those characters are going to be killed in some order. I bet. I bet you. The furnishings consist solely of this table and these chairs, all of which are bolted to the floor. How very intriguing. Wait, that's weird as hell. What? Given the size of the room, it's hard to imagine it'd be suitable for anything other than meetings. What purpose could it normally serve? Look over here, incompetent! The west-facing door is being held open. You're right, there's a rope connecting the wall, or the handle to the wall. But what for? None of the others are like this. Yeah, this room is fucking sketch. Could just be to keep it from closing, or perhaps there's another mechanism involved. I'm growing more and more confused, and on top of it all, there had another stark difference to set it apart from the rest. Achoo! You good, bookworm? What's with this room anyway? I feel like I'm in a walk-in fridge. Wait, what? So do I. Maybe it gets a lot of cross ventilation? My legs are freezing up. What? Is there a hole in the floor or something? She's right. It feels like there's wind circulating around my feet. This room is drafty, and the manor is at a high altitude. That would explain why it's cold in here. If we investigate in these conditions for too long, it might end up affecting our health. Doleful, what's wrong? Are you okay? Sorry, I've been feeling nauseous ever since we entered this room. Doleful's face is losing its color. It looks even paler than back when we were attacked by the black machine. Is the cold getting to him, or is he sensing some kind of danger? Hey Mystic, wasn't there a wood stove downstairs? Why don't we bring it up here? Excellent idea. Nothing good will come of investigating at these temperatures. Let us retrieve it at once. That, like, for real? Why keep the door open when it's this cold? Whoever runs this place has an IQ lower than the temperature in here. And allow me to remedy the situation! Armor approaches the west-facing door and then brings his hand down on the rope connecting to the wall, severing it. His cutting edge is as impressive as always. Just what is that armor made of? There! The door may now be sealed. This should lessen the chill. Armor makes his triumphant proclamation, then begins to close the door, but not 1 moment later... Wait! This gives me a bad feeling! Doleful sprinting towards Armor, Armor tilting his head, the door creaking shut. I see it all in slow motion as sparks explode in my mind. And then right before my eyes... No! Oh my god! Doleful is pierced by a bed of slender spikes? He crumples limply to the ground, blood dripping from his mouth like an open faucet. Once again, I'm forced to watch as I lose yet another friend. I snap back into focus to see Doleful standing in front of me Oh! It was That's So Raven! Oh my god! Oh my god, I would be so sad if Doleful died. Incompetent? Doleful, safe and sound. What was that? What's going on? What did I just see? You've predicted a future tragedy with your denouement. Quick, Watto, save Doleful! Not good. Dazed, I dart across the floor and shove Doleful. Doleful and I topple to the ground, and the very next moment, sharp spikes shoot out from the floor behind us, beside us. If I hadn't pushed him, Doleful would have been impaled the way I had just witnessed. That was a close call, too close. What artifice is this? The moment I closed the door, spikes sprung forth from below. I don't know, but obviously you shouldn't have done that. Go open the other door and let's bounce already. Forgive me, but no matter how much force I muster, it refuses to budge. Armor frantically twists the handle on the east side of the room, but to no avail. Our situation is getting dire by the second. Just one time! More spikes are popping up from the edge! Doleful's right, spikes are bursting up in ranks from the western side of the room. At this rate, we'll soon run out of space, and that'll be the end of us. We have to do something, but what? Holmes, what should I do? If this keeps up, none of us are gonna make it. Get a hold of yourself, Watto. They'll catch you talking to me. Why worry about that right now? This is life or death here. Exactly. It's life or death. That's why I'm telling you to remain calm. Holmes draws her face so close to mine that our noses nearly touch, shocking me into silence as she continues speaking. If you lose your composure now, you won't be able to avoid the tragedy. Pay close attention to Miss Detective. Despite the rest of us panicking, Mystic and Bookworm remain calm and collected. Bookie, what changes have occurred in this room? There are gaps in the floorboards for the spikes to emerge from. That might be why the room is so cold, the girl said, relaying her observations. I see. Just like the chandelier, this trap is not single-use. Rather, it can be reset and triggered repeatedly. In which case, the arrangement of the furniture in the center must hold some particular meaning. Mystic takes Bookworm by the hand and starts giving us orders. Bookie, everyone, get on top of the table and chairs. Huh? But if we stand in the middle of the room, the spikes will reach us in no time. Trust in me. This will save us. On that, I'm certain. We all exchange glances before making up our minds. Per Mystic's orders, we scramble to climb the chairs, huddling together on the narrow table. Spikes sprout out from the floor at a rapid pace, steadily heading our way. This won't work. The table and chairs aren't enough to stop that kind of momentum. We're all about to get skewered. Can't look. Unable to take it, I close my eyes, but then... It's alright to be afraid, but don't look away. Mystic Detective speaks from beside me, and my eyes shoot open. Only a reckless fool doesn't fear death, but to avert one's gaze at a fear is above all a fruitless endeavor. To become a true detective and competent, you must press on in the face of morality. For mortality, even. For a detective must always conquer their fear of death. Conquer my fear of death. Only in doing so can the truth be ascertained. Now, keep your eyes open and behold. The spikes are in front of our noses at this point, leaping out with so much force that I can feel them part my hair. My body instinctively lurches toward the exit on the eastern end of the room. Visions of yesterday's victims flash spontaneously in my mind. People die, everyone does, no matter how heroic they are, or how storied and accomplished.
What lies at the bottom of the sea?
I'd never have been made to confront this obvious truth before. I'd go so far as to say that no one living a normal life truly understands it. How can they? It just goes to show how little ordinary people have to deal with human mortality. Oh snap! The spikes are almost here! Maybe I should text down my will or something. Do not utter such words of ill portents, Lady Downtown. Rest assured, should this table succumb to the spikes, I shall shield us all. It's alright, I don't sense any more threats. It'll be okay. It has to be. Around me, everyone voices their concerns. We could all be impaled in a matter of moments. Even after the carnage these detectives have seen, it's only natural for them to be afraid. And yet, no one tries to flee. They all have the courage they need to overcome their fears. I want to be brave like all the others, but I have to find this courage on my own. I refuse to run. I dig my nails in and will my legs to stop shaking, then turn toward Mystic and speak in a clear voice. Mystic, sorry for letting my anxiety get the best of me. I won't bury my head in the sand again. I'll face my fear all the way to the end. There's a spark in your eyes. I can see now why Holmes is so fond of you. However, the truly terrifying part is yet to come. Hold your gaze to the very last moment. I will. This is most of the people that he saw dead in the dream. Downtown, Doleful, Mystic. It's about half of them. The cold, lifeless spikes stand right before us. The next place they strike will be right through the table, skewering us along with them. But at that moment, the inexplicable occurs. The spikes skipped past the table.
マジ
No way! What is this? Some kind of magic trick?
まさか魔界殿は
Sir Mystic,
誠に
are
魔
you
術の
perchance a
使い手であったのか
genuine practitioner of the arcane
針受けの
arts?
秘術を
I
ぜひ
bid you
我に教え
instruct
て
me
く
in
れ
your secrets to spike evasion.
そんなわけないでしょう。常識で考え
There's
て
no
くだ
such
さい。
thing. Use your brain for once, said the
少
girl,
女は頭の
profusely
悪い探
irritated
偵た
at
ち
the
が
moronic
苛立
excuse of a
ちついた。
detective. As they banter, the spikes continue piercing up into every spot except the table of chairs. I would like to point out that Armor almost got everyone killed. In a few minutes, the entire room is crowded with spikes, the only exception being where we currently sit. These chairs and this table are the only safe zone. I shudder as I recall how we almost ran to the corners of the room. If we hadn't followed Mystic's lead, we would just be a pile of skewered corpses right now. It's a miracle that we made it out. The only question I have is, how did he know where to go?
無能探偵
Incompetent
どうして
detective,
安
can
全
you
地帯
guess
を
how
見
I
抜けたのか
surmised that this location would
理
be
由がわか
out
る
of
か
harm's way?
それは、その。
Yeah, seriously, Nano. Well, I haven't the slightest idea. Doleful notices how hard I'm struggling to answer and whispers into my ear.
冷静になれば
It's an
簡単
easy
なヒ
clue
ン
if
ト
you
だったよ。
approach it with the cool head.
家
The
具がない
biggest
こ
hint
と
was the
が
lack of
最大のヒ
furniture.
ントだったんだ。
家具がないことが。
Lack of furniture? What do you mean?
それは、
一度罠が起動
Let's
す
say
れば
this room was
針
fully
で埋め尽く
furnished
され
and
る
the
部屋
trap
に
was
家具を
activated,
置いていたら
filling the
どうな
room
る
with
と思う？
spikes. What would happen?
全部壊れると思う。
Furniture would all get destroyed. I mean, those things were coming out with a lot of force. Oh wait, I get it. That's why there's no furniture. Except for the chairs and table, that is.
そう。逆
Here we
に言
go.
えば
Now
部屋に
let's
残さ
take
れ
it
た
from
テ
the
ーブル
opposite
と椅
angle.
子には
There must be
罠
a
が起
reason
動して
why
も
the
壊れ
chairs
ない
and
理由
table
がある
don't
はず
break
なん
when
だ
the
よ。
trap is
そ
triggered.
してこのテーブルと椅
They're
子は
also bolted
ボル
down
ト
to
で
the
固
floor.
定されていた。
That means it's important to note that
つま
they
り
have
重
to
要な
remain
の
in
は
this exact
この位
position.
置に
つまり、
So from that, you can assume that the spikes won't hit where the
危険な
chairs
針が
and
飛び
table
出してく
are.
ること。
見事だ飛脚探
Well
偵
done, doleful detective.
彼の言う通
As
り
you said, if you
冷
think
静に
about
な
it
れば
calmly,
決して難しい
it's
問
hardly
題
a
じゃ
difficult
ない
problem to
だ
solve.
が多くの者は
Most, however,
死の
fearing
恐
death,
怖に
would
惑わさ
flee
れ
in a panic toward the
部屋の
corners,
隅へと
leaving them to be
逃げてしまう。
trapped with no option but to await their
そうなれば
demise.
何それやば。
What the
この洋
F?
館を設計
Whoever
したやつ
designed
絶対に
this
性格悪
manners
いじゃ
got
ん。
like serious issues.
魔界殿が素早く
Sir
見抜い
Mystic,
て
your
くれて
nimble
助
insight
かったのであ
saved
る
our lives. A
心から
thousand
感謝するぞ魔界殿
mercies, my good man.
気にするな同
Think
志の
nothing
命
of
を
it.
救う
It
のは
is, after all, human nature to protect your companions, is it
だが
not?
これだ
But
けは
remember
覚え
this,
ておいて
the
くれ
trepidation within the
人
heart
間
of
の
man
恐怖
often
心はいつ
obscures
だ
the
私も
facts.
かつて恐怖
I
心
too
に
was
とらわ
once
れ
imprisoned by it,
大きな
committing a
失敗
grave
を犯
error
した
as a result. Thus do I now hone my knowledge,
超
so
自然
as
的
to
なオ
better
カルトじ
face
みた
the
事件にも
supernatural
立ち
and
向
the
かえるよ
occult.
う一見打
For
開で
every
きない状
deadlock,
況
there
に
is a
も
ray of hope to
必
be
ず
found.
巧妙は
It is
刺す
it is
探偵
vital
にとっ
that
て
a
何より
detective
大切なのは
have
恐
the
怖に
will
抗い
to
真実を
defy
追
fear
求
and
しようと
pursue
す
the
る意
truth.
志なの
In time, the spikes recede into their cavities beneath, and the room returns to how it was before. It looks as though nothing happened at all. No one would believe me if I told them there were spikes ready to burst out from
みんな本当に
everyone.
すまなかったの
Hardly
であ
do
る
I cry you mercy. Armor leaps to the floor and prostrates himself before us.
もうこの
Sorry, he's not gonna cut it, team for
Maji,
brains.
警察の
Quit
行動
being
は
such a
控えてよね。
reckless bozo for once.
まあまあ。
Go easy on the guy.
武装君は僕
Armor
たちの
closed
身
the
を
door
案
out
じ
of
て
concern
扉
for
を
our
落としてく
well-being.
れたわ
Let's
け
just
で
leave
す
it at that.
あんたら男衆が甘い
This
からこ
rust
のことは
bucket
つけや
gets
がるんだ
away
よ
with everything because
Chanto
you
mendou
guys
mite
keep
yo ne.
coddling him. Screw your bro code and show him some tough love. Ah. The three of us stand in a row before the peeved off downtown, heads bowed in apology.
バカばっかり
Nothing but imbeciles, wall to wall,
少
girl
女
said,
は蔑みの目を
glowering at
男
the
たちに
men,
向ける
scorn in her eyes.
そう言うな
Mind your words,
あれだ
it
けの
is
死の
a
脅威を
splendid quality
肌身
to
に
have
感じ
such
た後
the
で
strength to speak so
いつものように会話が
casually
でき
after
るこ
such a
とは
close encounter with
素
the
晴らしい
Reaper.
ホームズも
That Holmes. It would seem she's left us quite the parting gift, hasn't she? Why did he say that? We use our D-pads to notify the other detectives about the trap in the second floor living room. Also, per downtown suggestion, we rig the door so that it'll stay open on its own. What are you digging into the floor? I'm putting a wooden block in here so we can use it as a doorstop. You know, so it stops the door from closing. Duh. She shoves a chunk of wood Armor had shaved into a cube into the hole. Part of the block juts out of it, preventing the door from shutting. It's pretty sturdy, so as long as it stays put, even a strong shove wouldn't close the door. This should help keep things safe. So are we gonna find somebody impaled on the spikes later? I kind of think so. I get it. This is way simpler than securing it with a rope. Not to mention more reliable. Know me, right? I've got tons of younger siblings, so we'd always wedge doors open like this. Helps keep them from smacking into stuff. Of course, it means I get like zero privacy though. It is true that children often injure themselves on doorknobs. I find this to be an excellent solution. You never know what life experiences may come in handy. We ensure the door won't close and set off the trap, then leave the room behind. After we finish setting up the surveillance cameras, we decide to have dinner in the dining room. Once again, we gather around the refectory table, salivating in anticipation of Gourmet's cooking. Techie, the man of the hour, takes the seat of honor, his PC connected to his tablet as he clatters away at the keyboard. He appears to be setting things up so that all the cameras can be monitored from the tablet. My curiosity gets the best of me, so I go over to see what he's doing. How's it going? Does it look like the cameras are going to function alright? Yes! In fact, the one in the entrance hall is already operational. Take a look. Becky takes his tablet off the table and shows it to me. There on display is the entrance hall, the manor's sole means of entry and exit. With this, we should be able to prevent the culprit from sneaking out of here. Dang, this is one killer setup you got here. Bet you could make a transmitter so we can radio back to HQ. What do you say? That's beyond my capabilities. I just combined the phone's recording functions with our D-pad's comm system. It was nothing special, really. So modest. Security cams, instant footage. I could never make stuff like this. Instant noodles? Now that's something I excel at. Come off it, will ya? This food look like instant noodles to ya? I mean, get a load of this feast. Rowdy's right. While there are fewer dishes than last night, everything is brand new and they all look delicious. Crystal clear soup, in particular, is exquisite, with its flavorful seafood stock. Flavorful broth, the melt-in-your-mouth fish, it's delicious. I'm amazed you made this with so few ingredients and seasonings. Oh, stop with the praise, or I'll turn red as a beet. I'll have you know that this is a very simple dish. There was plenty of fish in the freezer, so I went ahead and simmered it, nice and slow. The trick to a delicious meal isn't being picky about ingredients. It's patience, thoroughness, time, and effort. Just like an investigation. So nobody get frustrated over not finding the hidden passage today, okay? Upping the heat on a soup you've labored on will only spoil it. This is where she poisons everyone. I'm totally down to be locked up in here a few more days if it means we get to eat like this every night. Likewise, the gang's all here and the party never stops. It's almost like we're on vacation. Have some decorum, you two, especially you downtown. You nearly died in a trap today. Then there's the chandelier, and who knows what else. It's far too dangerous here. Hence why we must find that hidden passage and escape pronto.
お堅いね、家族ちゃん。
Get that stick out of your butt, Pashi. Some casual chit-chat might bring up a few good ideas for finding that hidden
根を
passage.
詰めすぎずに気楽に行こうよ。
Like, quit
気
being
楽
so
にさ。
serious and chill. You know that word? Chill?
雑談で
How
アイデア
simple
が浮
life
か
would
べ
be
ば
if
誰
idle
も苦
chatter
労し
produced
ません
quality
わよ。
thoughts. Well, I, for one, think downtown might be onto something.
はあ？上
But
司も休み
please,
休みおっ
enough
し
with
ゃ
your
い。
で
jests.
も家族さん
But
渋谷さん
aren't
は
you
実
aware,
際に
Posh?
雑談を
Solving
武器に事
cases
件を
via
解決に
conversation
導い
is how
て
downtown
序
has
列を上げ
moved
てきた
up
ん
the
だよ
ranks. It's her primary weapon, so to speak.
雑談を武器に
Conversation, a
冗談
weapon?
会議をからか
Is
う
this
つもりで
meant
す
to
の？
be some sort of jab against high society?
からかうだなんてとんでも
Not
ない
at all. I'm
調
merely
子に
stating
ねえ無
facts.
能君
Answer me this,
何か考え
incompetent.
事をしようと
When
思っ
you
た
need
時
to think
無
which
音
works
の
better
空
for
間に
you,
閉じこもる
hiding
こと
away
と
someplace
少
quiet
し
or
賑やかな
traversing
街
busy
並みで散歩
streets.
する
Somewhere quiet. I can't collect my thoughts if I'm walking around, let alone through a busy area.
そうだろうね
I thought as much,
でも
but the
実は
data shows
著
that
名な経営
many
者の多
distinguished
くは後
business
者
leaders prefer the
賑やかな
latter,
場所を選ぶというデー
livelier
タがあるん
option.
だ
Really?
なんですって？
Why would that be?
消せま
I
せんわ。
simply cannot
上流階
comprehend.
級にも分か
Explain
るよう
it
説
in
明なさい。
nobleman's terms, if you please.
脳に適度な刺激を与え
It's
て
because it
くれるから
provides your brain with the appropriate amount of
もちろ
stimulation.
ん一つの物事に集
Obviously,
中したい
background
時
noise will
は
distract
雑音が
if
少
you
なくて
need to
思考が
concentrate.
乱されない方
But
がいい
if you want to broaden your
で
mind,
も発
too
想
much
の幅を
focus can
広
work
げたいの
against you.
なら
下道君の言う通りだよ
It's as Renegade says.
脳が
The
最
brain
も活
is
性化
most
するの
active
は
with new stimuli,
新しい
so
刺激を受け
continuous
た時
engagement, i.e.
つまり
talking, makes
雑
it
談
easier
程
to
度の
develop
軽い
fresh
刺激それ
ideas.
に雑談しやすいと
The
いうこ
more
と
we
は
converse, the
各自の
easier
知
it
る
is
情
for
報を
each of
共有
us
しやす
to
いとい
share
うこ
what
と
we
でもあ
know.
るからね
This facilitates
油断す
an
ると疑りが
otherwise
ちな情報
neglected
共有
exchange of
が事
information.
実
In
渋谷
fact,
さんが関わっ
downtown
た事
is
件の
the
平均
third
的な解決
fastest
速
in
度
the
は
DA at
同盟
solving
の
cases.
3位
Only founding
組
detectives
織の創始者
Vidal
である
and
首都探
Ideal
偵
are
ビ
de
ドック
facto chief exceeded.
実質的なリーダーである理想さんに次ぐ速度を誇っている
Okay, so that means Vidok Chan is for sure detective number one. To answer Rosen's question from like an hour ago.
他者との交流を深めることで
Downtown
自分自身
deepens
だ
her
けでなく
interactions with
周囲
others,
にまで好
both
影
to
響を
her
及ぼ
benefit
す渋谷さ
and
ん独自
theirs.
の推
This
理方
social
法は
deduction is
コミュニ
highly
ケーション
regarded
推理
within
として
DA.
まさかそこまで
To
考え
think
られ
there
た推理方法だ
so
ったな
much
んて。
thought lies behind that
あなた
method.
味
There's
方
far
にな
more
らず
to
気
you
で
than
も
meets the
ないです
eye.
のね。いや、そこ
I
まで
mean,
しっかりと
it's
考
not like
え
I
ては
put
なかった
that
けど
much thought
ね。
into it. My head
つう
just
か、う
goes
ち
into
の
sleep
場合、
mode. There's no tea
雑
to
談して
spill.
なきゃ頭が疲れるってだけだし。
You're trying to figure out if Vidok is an anagram? Oh, that is so fly of you. It can't be, because there's a Q in it. I'm a little bit worried about Downtown Detective. She's getting omega screen time. And I think I would honestly be sad if most of these characters died. I wouldn't necessarily care if Armor Detective died. I also, at the beginning of today's stream, I kind of thought that Mystic Detective was whatever, but now I kind of like him. Because he seems like really smart, and I just always like the smart characters. I feel like they're setting her up to die in the room, thinking she's safe in the center. Right. Because, like, it would be really easy to trap and kill somebody in that room. Like... making somebody incapacitated, putting them in the room, and then closing the door. It seems like that room is almost certainly gonna play into this. And I'm really scared. I'm also scared for what else could be in the mansion, because if there's a room like that, that means there could be any number of other booby traps.
でもほらミステリーものでも脇役の何気ない発言で
I
取ったり
was...
するじゃん。
Oh my god. I thought Doleful legit died.
一人で考え込むよりも会話があった方がいいんじゃないかな。
Because he did. They wrote him
思うわけよ。
into dying and then said, you can fix this. But I was gonna be super sad if Doleful dies. I actually like Doleful Detective a lot. I thought when we first saw Doleful Detective, I thought he was just gonna be like bad anime, like bait, where there's a guy that looks a lot like a girl, you know, kind of like Aether in E7. I just thought that's the angle they were gonna go with Doleful, and he's actually just like a sweet child that is always in danger and just wants to survive. Like, I actually feel for him so much, and I like him. And also, like, after reading everyone's profile, I kind of... like, I feel like enough was provided about everybody that I kind of care about everyone. I don't really care for Armor Detective, but this is partial PTSD because visual novels love to make characters with obscured faces plot devices. So, like, I'm just, like, preparing myself for him to have some greater involvement. But I don't care for this one at all. Sorry, Armin. But yeah, I also don't care about him. So, it's like Renegade Detective, Gourmet Detective, and Armor Detective, I'm like, whatever. But everybody else I like, at this point. It's the blatant attacks against Armin and Jam, whatever. They'll be fine. I hope Posh dies an unelegant death. Why would you say that? Rosen, who's your favorite character? I guess Nano's favorite character is probably Ideal. Vod Lisa, Vod Kuroi, Vod Storytime, who are your favorite characters? Let me know in the visual novel channel. And at Pengy-chan. I don't know if I have one, maybe Mystic or Form. Okay. So you're not feeling particularly attached to the cast then, Rosen. I think I'm getting a little bit attached. Ideal in Downtown. So what you're saying, Rosen, is the game hasn't won you over yet. That's me reading into the comments. Yeah, I'm waiting for the game to win me over. I feel like I'm almost won over because there are some things I really like about this. The enclosed space where characters are clearly going to get killed off as time goes, that's like basically a recipe for an interesting game for me. Also, the fact that there is that weird like board game gameplay element to it, I'm really liking. And the music is pretty good, although we need to hear more of it because we're kind of just like circling the same couple. Have we done more board games since the tutorial? No. I think with the next murder, it's gonna be like off of tutorial mode and like you need to solve it, which will be really interesting. Are we all thinking about who's gonna die first? I have a really bad feeling Downtown is gonna be the first victim. And I don't want her to die at all, but it's just the way I'm feeling. You know how in Mysteries, a side character will say whatevs and something clicks into place? That's why I prefer group chats over going solo. Social deduction, is it? I return to my seat. Armor sits next to me, deep in thought. I too must devise a unique deduction technique of my own. Well, if the idea is to stimulate your brain, maybe some light exercise would help clear your mind. Ah! Workout deduction! Magnificent! I shall put it to the test this very night. Just remember not to focus too much on the exercise, or you'll forget to do any actual thinking. But to train is to battle against the self. Would it not prove fatal to ruminate on idle thoughts in the heat of combat? If that's the way you see it, maybe you just aren't cut out for this. It's a bit tricky to get right. I've worked a case with Downtown before. She's actually pretty attentive to her surroundings. You'd say she has a knack for picking up on social cues. Anyway, it's obvious she excels at talking to people without bothering them. Come to think of it, when I reproached myself after we eluded the spike trap, she chided me for it, preventing me from growing overly dispirited. She also scolded us back when Holmes died. That's Downtown's way of being kind, I'm sure of it. Right, about that, I'm just going to come out and say it, since it's you, incompetent. But Downtown's friend was actually killed by the Quartering Duke. It's why she gets so weirdly fixated on camaraderie. Hey, Vale. Quartering Duke killed her friend? Someone's coughing echoes out in the dining room. Bookworm is covering her mouth, looking pale in the face. Mystic stands behind her, patting her on the back with concern. Are you alright, Bookie? You've just endured a distressing experience. There is no need to push yourself if you are unable to eat. It's fine. After all the effort that went into this food, it would be a shame not to enjoy it, said the girl, picking up her spoon. How goes Disgaea Rain? Wait, why are you calling it Rain? This is the Disgaea people, though, so correct. The art style is so Disgaea. The Weird Rain Detective game? No! No. That game, definitely, I can say confidently, Raincode is already worse than this game. This game did something that I like that visual novels do, and that's set in an enclosed space where the characters are slowly going to get fewer and fewer over time. That basically every visual novel I like, except 13 Sentinels, does that. So it's gonna come down to... Basically, it's gonna come down to if this is a bad anime game or not, and I'm not feeling like it is. Yeah, you heard me. Anyways, it's cool so far, Fail. I do recommend catching up on the VODs. And I wouldn't have told you to do that for Fata Morgana or any of the other visual novels I played recently because I knew you wouldn't. There's no need to put on a tough front with me. Even in the Detective Alliance, your powers of recollection are superb. The artwork is not for you? Oh, interesting. Yesterday's gruesome scene, today's deadly trap. It's a small wonder that you're at your limit after witnessing such horrors in quick succession. Mystic gives a gentle smile as he takes Bookworm's trembling hands into his own. She gives him a silent nod before the two of them stand. Our apologies for leaving early, but we will be retiring for the night. You may leave our plates where they are. I will return to clean them up. Is Bookworm okay? The food wasn't poisoned, was it? Nothing of the sort, I assure you. To be brief, it is an adverse effect of her memory. An adverse effect? I shall explain it another time. Again, our apologies for disturbing you all. Please continue dining. I thought they'd be family. I know, it's literally high school detectives. Some of them are, though. Like, this guy, Mystic Detective, is clearly not. But, like... High school? High school. High school. I think high school. High school. Maybe middle school. Middle school. High school. Middle school. $35. So, yeah. With that, they leave the room. Everyone's minds must be on Mystic and Bookworm. Our chatter dies down as we eat in silence. Afterward, we all pitch in to clean up before going our separate ways. Oh, incompetent. Are you busy after this? I knew Fail was gonna respond to this. I'm like, why did Gourmet have to go up? I just said the game is not bad, and then she appears. Gourmet calls to me right before I leave. Techie is with her, balancing his tablet and laptop on his knees. These two make a bit of an odd couple. I thought about taking a look at the study, but I don't have anything really planned. What's up? She a giraffe? Oh my god, her neck is super long. I didn't even realize that. It's like disproportionately long compared to how long her face is. This is Gourmet Detective, who's an Armin character in more ways than one. We want to set up the tablet in the living room so we can check the security cams, but we need one of the guides to help us move the furniture. That is a cop-out excuse, okay. That's why the goggles are there? I hate that she even has goggles. Like, is she a Digimon tamer? Like, what is this? Armor and Doleful both refused. They were worried they would inadvertently break my electronics. They might have a point there. I'd be happy to help. I can picture Armor snapping the tablet with his brute strength, or Doleful tripping over and ripping through the cords. How cold! You ought to extend that invitation to me! We exchange a glance at the unexpected words from this equally unexpected person. You want to help too, Renegade?
手伝っ意外そうな顔
Why
だ
the
ね
surprise? Didn't I say my hobby is volunteering back
趣
when
味
we
は
first met?
俺は困
I
っ
did
て
read
いる
that on
人
his
を
card,
見る
yeah.
と助けずには
I
いら
can't
れない
help
性分なんだ
Help when I see someone
だから
struggling, it's in my
探偵
nature.
をやってい
In
る
fact, it's the reason I became a detective. It's striking how insincere he sounds. As usual, I can't get a read on him, but many hands make light work, so it can't hurt to say yes. I'm kind of wondering if these roster pages get updated as the characters talk about themselves more. Like, hers is still really small. It doesn't look like they've changed yet, if they do at all. They probably don't change. I feel like Ideals probably didn't say anything about Future Sight. Right, because we read it after she had that reveal. So I think it might be worth it to double check the roster cards, just like periodically, to see if information gets added. They could kind of function like a data log. What do we do with this design? Let's make it Sherlock Holmes, but make it Goth Lita and some puff. I think the designs are okay. He has Celeste hair. He's a serial killer that's actually in the Detective Alliance. So he's super edgy. And they control him by giving him an explosive collar so that they can kill him if he goes nuts. Of course he is, yes. Best girl is this one. Obviously. She's like the haughty, noble type. And she's a square? How dare you? Honestly, the fail character is probably this one. Could be him, but it's probably him. This is my burn the house down kind of... Rude! It's striking how insincere he sounds. As usual, I can't get a read on him, but many hands make light work, so it can't hurt to say yes. Well, thanks. Okay then, let's head to the living...
私も手伝うよ
I'll help as well.
一応
I do have some
年長者だ
seniority here after all.
社畜さん
Workaholic, you're still here? Reflexively, I jump back, surprised to see Workaholic next to me.
ずっといたよ私の
I've been here the whole time. Seems I don't make much of an
その
impression.
反応は傷つくな
It kind of stings, actually.
ごめんなさい
Sorry, but yes,
でも
we'd appreciate the
助かり
hand.
ます
優しい男
So
の子
many
が多
nice
くて
young men
助か
helping
るわ
out. This'll make
これなら
setting up the
スムーズに
tablet a
タブレ
breeze.
皆さんありがとうございます
Thanks, everybody. Let's head to the
リ
living
ビングへと移動しましょ
room.
う
Gourmet pushes Techie's wheelchair out of the room. I start following them... Oh, after them, and when my hand touches the door...
何も企んでない
Don't
から
worry, I'm not up to
安心しな
anything.
いよ
Promise.
口でならどうとでも
So
言え
you
るさ
say, but talk is cheap. I sense a palpable tension between Workaholic and Renegade Detective. Did something happen earlier this afternoon? I'm curious, but also too cowardly to ask, so I continue on to the living room.
すべての監視カメラの映像を確
All
認できまし
surveillance
た。
cameras are in
皆さん、
position.
ご協
Thank
力
you for your
あ
help,
りがとうご
everyone.
ざいます。
Having rearranged the living room furniture, installed the cables, and set up the tablet on the table, our work is finally done. It's now 9 p.m. The room's layout made wiring things difficult, even, so the process wound up taking much longer than we had anticipated.
カメラの映像はどうすれば
How
見
do
ら
we
れる
view the cameras? What the cameras are recording?
このテーブルの上に置いたタブレットで
You can
見
use
ら
the
れます
tablet
よ。
on the table for that.
トップでは監視カメ
There's
ラ
an
の映
overview
像の
of
一
the
覧を確認で
surveillance
きます。
feed on the home
タ
screen.
ップすれば
Just tap
大
one
きな画面でも確
to
認可能で
expand
す
the。video.
ヤマトちゃんってば
Oh, Rowdy! Combat training in our room again, I see. Can't hear anything, but look how hard she's going at it. Classic Rowdy.
音声は聞こえないの？
There's no sound?
はい、聞こえません。
Correct.
ス
I
マホの
couldn't
スピーカー
get
だと
clean audio
音
out
声
of
を
the
正確
smartphone
に記録
speakers,
す
so
る
I
の
gave
が
up
難
on
しく
it.
て。
It's a bit of a relief to hear that it isn't recording sound. It means I can speak with Holmes in my room without anyone finding out. Okay, Bubble Wand asks about that, so I guess that got answered. Even though he doesn't need to speak aloud, it's still there, I suppose.
科学くん、本
Great
当に
work,
お疲
Techie.
れ
This
様。
means nearly every
これ
room
で
is
ほと
covered
んど
by
の
a
部屋
camera,
は
doesn't it?
私から探偵デバイスを通じて
I'll
他の
loop
探
in the
偵
other
たちにも
detectives
情報共
regarding
有
this
をしておく
update
よ。
via D-pad.
この監視カメラが抑止力となって
Hopefully these cameras will be enough of a deterrent to prevent any further casualties.
個室まで撮影されているんだ
It
から
should, seeing as even our rooms are being monitored.
この状況で
Try
誰かに危害を
to
加えよ
go
うとするなんて
Anyone
自分
now
は
would
八つ咲
basically
き校だ
be
って自
confessing
覚
that
してい
you're
る
a
ような
duke.
ものだし
そうですよ
Right.
ね。
Thanks for the reassurance,
ありが
incompetent.
とう。
科学ちゃん
Put the
作
time
業
away.
に夢中で
Techie,
お夕飯あま
you've
り
been
食べら
so
れていない
distracted
で
by
す
your
よ
work, you've hardly eaten.
お夜食を
Why don't you
作
head
っ
to the
てあげ
dining
る
room
か
and
ら
I'll fix a
食
meal
堂へ
for
いらっ
you?
しゃい
いいんですか？
You really don't
ありが
mind,
とう
then
ご
yes,
ざいます。
please. Thank you so
お言
much.
葉には
Gourmet pushes Techie's wheelchair, and the two of them head toward the dining room. I decide that this is as good a time as any to take a shower, but just as I turn to go, Renegade Detective blocks my path. He flashes his iconic shady smile.
ね
So,
え
about Senior Detective's killer. What do you two make of it?
二人は
Workaholic steps in front of Renegade Detective as if to shield me. He answers in a cold voice that betrays his usual calm demeanor.
急な質問だね。
That's
悪い
rather
が、
abrupt of you
ノ
to
ーコメン
ask.
トとさせてもらうよ。
Sorry, but I have no comment to give at the moment.
なぜだい探偵
Why
同
not?
士推理を
Shouldn't
語
fellow
り合ったっていい
detectives
じ
share
ゃない
their
か
thoughts?
そうだね。君の悪
I'd
意。
agree, but for
真相にたどり着いているのに引っかき回そうとする癖が
even
なけれ
after
ば、
finding the truth,
Not
you
that
continue to
item
pick
either.
it apart. Do away with that, and then we can talk.
心外だな
How insulting.
傷つく
You
よ
wound me.
まあまあ
Come on, guys. It's hard to believe how sour the mood got the moment Gourmet and Techie left. It seems the unease I sensed earlier on wasn't just my imagination. Like I thought, something must have happened between these two.
無能君はどう
What do you think, Incompetent? Is the
やっぱり
Quartering
八つ
Duke
咲き
really
子は
among
わざ
us?
まだ何
I
とも
can't
言
say
いません
anything for sure yet, but I want to believe he isn't.
信じ
You want to believe, do you? And why's that?
だって仲間じゃない
Well,
です
we're
か
all on the same team, for one
探
thing.
偵同士で
I don't like
戦
the
い合う
idea of having to suspect my fellow
らしいです
detectives.
ピュアな答え
Such a
だ
pure
ね
answer! Makes me
でも
tingle.
妙だとは
But
思わ
don't
な
you
い
find it strange?
この
Those
島
of
へ
us
呼ばれた
who
メンバ
were
ーに
summoned
は
to
統
this
一感が
island
な
have
さすぎる
close
じ
to
ゃない
nothing in common.
妙
Strange. He's right. There's no consistency in our ages, genders, or ranks within the organization. I'd assumed the group was assembled for its diversity and range of abilities, but now that he mentions it, it is a bit odd.
社畜探偵
No
君は
guess
このメン
as
バ
to
ーに
why
選ば
we
れ
were
た理
all
由に
chosen,
心当た
Workaholic
りはないの
Detective.
か
You were in charge of keeping touch with Holmes, so you must have heard something.
聞いていたらみんなにも話す
If。I had, I would have told
そ
everyone.
もそもこのメン
The
バー選
initial
定を行った
selection
の
was
は
carried
組
out by
織の
Vidal,
創始者であ
the
るヴィド
founder
ッ
of
クさん
our organization. I
私ど
doubt
ころか
even the chief,
リーダーだっ
let
て知らなかったと
alone
思うよ。
us, knew much about it. I see. Well, that settles it for now.
まあ書庫で
Though I
資料を
did
漁った
discover
時
that there's something we all have in common while rummaging through the documents in the study.
共通点
Something we all have in common. A Upon my asking, Renegade Detective withdraws a notebook from his pocket, explaining away as he flips through the pages.
前提として
First, let's assume that the Dayless Night incident 13 years ago had an influence on the Quartering Duke cases. Do we know what the Dayless Night incident is? The popular name for the series of incidents caused by the Morning Star of the Dawn Society, which is at the time commanded public support and even exercised influence in political sphere. Sect founder Junichi Nanase, who went by the name Lucifer, targeted opponents by kidnapping, confining, torturing, and brainwashing them. He is also believed to have carried out a number of cruel human experiments, though the building where this is reported to have taken place has since collapsed in a disaster. Lucifer utilized TV stations and internet broadcasts to steal the hearts of viewers with his witty comments and charismatic mannerisms, steadily growing his hordes of believers. 13 years ago, Lucifer attempted to take advantage of the chaos after a major earthquake by plotting to release poison gas, resulting in his capture by the world's premier detective, Vidocq. Vidocq received global recognition for his accomplishment, eventually leading to the establishment of the DA. Although 13 years have passed since he was apprehended, Lucifer's followers have continued committing crimes in his name unabated. The true irony is that by solving this case, Vidocq triggered an exponential increase in domestic crime, thereby fueling the ongoing detective case. Who was involved in the Nanase incident? Someone was. Him. So he probably is a follower of Lucifer, right? He's the Chaos Root in SMT. It definitely seems that way. Yeah, he gives me Nagito vibes a little bit. You mean the failed large-scale terror attack attempt from that new religious movement? What do they have to do with the Quartering Duke? Was Tux or E-Tier the Chaos rep in Nocturne? I'm not sure how they did that. So basically in Nocturne, one of the reasons is that only the strong can survive. That's kind of chaotic. You could also view that as lawful, though. The pajamas guy was stillness. He wanted a world where basically no one does anything. And then Tux's route in Nocturne was like, he wants everybody to be independent, which is similar to Stillness, I think. I don't really get the distinction between the two. But none of those really scream chaos to me. I think chaos is if you choose to kill everybody. A whole lot of things, actually, but I'd say there are 2 points that are easy to grasp. Isn't Chaos the Lucifer ending? True Demon route? I guess? Like, the game kind of has two Chaos routes, if that's the case, because there's a non-Lucifer ending where you just kill everybody, and then the main character thinks everything was a dream. And then there's the True Demon ending where you legitimately kill everybody and then kill Lucifer and you become the Lord of the Underworld. That's probably the most chaotic. Anyway, in my current run of Nocturne off stream, I'm currently getting the ending where you side with Pajama's guy. Pajama's Hairline Chan. I love that summary so much. And then become pants with directions. Ends up in DDS. Have a 3-hour flight with random dudes, then peace off after they refuse to die. You know, I never played DDS 2. I have it. I just haven't played it. And I liked Digital Devil Saga, even though it only lasted, I think, 5 streams. Because it's short. Also, they're remastering Raido Kuzunoha games, and I'm gonna play those for sure. I'm very excited for that. I hope it gets a PlayStation release so I can get, box art. You never did beat Debbie Fiends? I never did, yeah. That's on the Despair arc list, fail. So did you really beat DDS? I mean, that fight is notoriously insane. You know what else I never beat? Pokemon Stadium 2.
Sayonara.
Oh. Wait, Chief, are you going to bed? Games having only digital releases these days is cursed. Or is it a bad time to bring up Octopath? Yeah, true, I never beat the big boss of Octopath either of them. Wait, did Octopath 1 release on PlayStation? Yeah, Chief, I was thinking I would end stream in an hour and then we can watch Tower of God. Does that work? Anyway, the despair arc. Okay, great. Yeah, let's do that. So I'll see you in an hour. Yeah. So the despair arc list is growing, and my stream hours are decreasing. You know what? I have half a mind to do late night Pokemon Stadium Despair on Fridays. Or like maybe Despair Fridays. We'll have to see. I'll think about it. Oh, also, Chief, if you need to say yes via voice command, use Anna4. It's very important. Okay, wait, we're in the middle of, like, a important conversation here. First, a mysterious figure known as Lucifer claimed credit for the Dayless Night incident. The fuck is that? After which he planned to incite mass murder nationwide. So wait, we already... Right, this is the one that we just read about. It could be to Mammoth Ted. Wait, somebody was involved in that case too. Endless night shift? Okay, maybe not. Alright. Whatever. If not for Vidocq, Sr. and Co., the carnage would have surpassed the Duke's. Doesn't that make it seem like the Duke is following Lucifer's lead? Another clue is that the neurotoxin made by those behind the Dayless Night incident was also used in the Quartering Duke's killings. It can't be manufactured at an individual scale, so it's safe to assume the remnants of that new religious movement are working with Duke. Calling it a night. Alright, bye, Phil. He'll be a stranger, miss you. Well, Workaholic Detective, any objections to my theory so far?
No.
Your observations are astute. I too think there's a connection between the Quartering Duke and the Dayless Night incident. Renegade Detective smiles contentedly at Workaholic's words before continuing with his explanation. That's when I realized every detective on this island just may be linked to either a Quartering Duke case or the Dayless Night incident. I think he's onto something, for real. Linked? In what way exactly? As I said, Senior helped move the Dayless Night incident. Moreover, Gourmet, Workaholic, Doleful, and Rowdy Detective all lost family that day. Oh. Really? How do you know that? Why do you think I was holed up in the study for so long? Reading through pile after pile of precious Detective Alliance documents takes time. Obviously, there's no information that directly ties to anyone, but for me, it was all too easy to piece together, like finding a treasure trove. So that's why you didn't help search the manor. You had your own investigation. Prying into private affairs is a sordid pastime, you know. You really do say the darndest things. Isn't conducting an earnest investigation the proper course for a detective? What about everyone else? I don't know much about the Dayless Night incident, aside from what I've seen on TV. Bookworm is a victim of a case caused by a remnant of that religious movement. Mystic solved it and adopted her after. Talk about getting the extra mile. Okay, so Nana was right, actually. They are related. And Chipperole downtown, her best friend was slain by the Quartering Duke. I'll bet she hates the guy more than anyone else. Town lost her best friend to him? It's like what Doleful said during dinner. Thinking back, I did feel a sense of rage from someone whenever the Quartering Duke came up. It was downtown. A girl who knows how to read a social situation. She must have been forcing a cheery smile to avoid spreading any negativity. I still haven't figured out the connections for you, Holmes, Posh, Tech, or Armor, but I'm sure there must be some. That horrible scene from 10 years ago resurfaces in my mind. If that confinement incident is connected to the Dayless Knight or the Quartering Duke, then both Holmes and I fit into Renegade's theory. I feel as if there's something I'm still struggling to remember, something I can't forget. Whatever the case, I have no doubts as to why we were all brought to this island. Now, fellow members of the Detective Alliance, let us work together to solve the Quartering Duke case. All for one and one for all. You have some nerve to say that after spewing enough nonsense to have incompetent jumping at every shadow now. You act like life comes cheap. I will never approve of someone like you, who treats murder cases like entertainment. Wound me more, why don't you? I value life more deeply than anyone else, you know? I swear it, by all that is holy. Renegade's glib words sound recited, the lines from a play. It's little wonder that a vein is pulsing on mild-mannered workaholic's temple. What Renegade said is true, Competent. Many detectives here are tied to the Dayless Knight incident, and its heir, the Quartering Duke. Put it plainly, it would be no surprise for one of us to be the Quartering Duke. We must determine who is friend and who is foe. That, of course, applies to me as well. I always figured the two of us wouldn't see eye to eye. Renegade Detective lets out a disinterested yawn as he heads to the exit. Detectives are egotistical by nature, from Herlock Sholmes to Bogoro Akechi. They're all more selfish than any criminal could be. A detective doesn't care who's friend or foe. What matters is whether one who finds fulfillment while being true to oneself. No. Of course, it's in our best interest to help one another, and we should do as much as we can. But living like one should die for others makes one unfit to be a detective. I'm talking about you, workaholic, you upright family man. I don't need to take this from an outcast like you. Watch yourself, or you'll end up revealing your true colors. Renegade makes his way out of the living room, laughing uproariously all the while. Once it's just the two of us, Workaholic lets loose a deep sigh, sitting down right where he is. Why must everyone be so selfish? I feel as though my stomach is doing flips. Are you okay? I've got medicine for that if you need it. Thanks, incompetent. But it's quite alright. Adults always have such things on hand. Sorry you had to see Renegade and me lock horns like that. We had a disagreement earlier today, and we've been at it ever since. So that's what happened. Figures, Renegade Detective seems to be the obstinate type, yet is that all there is to it? It's hard to believe that their bad blood is only due to conflict of opinion. Of course, now probably isn't the time to pry into. Well, I think I'm going to clock out for the day. Regardless of how many cameras we've installed, it's still dangerous to be on your own. Please be careful. I will. Thanks, Workaholic. Now alone in the room, I lean back in my chair, letting my mind linger on the things Workaholic had said. Determine who is friend and who is foe, huh? I look at the security feeds on the tablet and see the detectives in their rooms, each of them passing the time in their preferred way. Downtown does her nails, whereas Rowdy is training vigorously. Armor sits cross-legged in meditation. Doleful is dozing in bed while Posh pens a letter. Everyone has their own circumstances. Each is living according to their own ideals. I refuse to even entertain the idea that one of them is the Quartering Duke. I hope we all make it back alive. My honest feelings slip out of my mouth. I'm startled when they receive a reply. Such splendid aspirations. Perhaps the title of Ideal Detective suits you better than it does me. Holmes. She floats over to my side, pressing close to me. It's not as though I can feel the weight of her body, but strangely enough, it still makes me feel warm and relaxed. You've been gone for a while, were you hiding? Despite only existing in the realm of thought, it seems I too experience fatigue. My mind dozed off for a while, not dissimilar to taking a nap. So she's literally Giselling right now. So basically, you still need to get some rest every once in a while. There's still much to unpack, but it would appear so, yes. Much like a human body, my consciousness shuts down for 6 to 8 hours a day. Since you mentioned not seeing me, I must assume that I am not visible to you during this period. Quite an odd arrangement, I must say. That makes 3 rules we know about Holmes' functions. A, she can't be more than 3 meters away from me. B, our minds are linked so she can read my thoughts and share my dreams when I'm asleep. Finally, C, her mind shuts down once a day for 6 to 8 hours, during which I can't see her. So even as a living thought, she doesn't have free reign. Talk about inconvenient. By the way, you said the culprit is still in the manor, right? That I did. What about it? Well, that would mean that it has to be someone in the Detective Alliance, right? Holmes' eyes go wide and she tilts her head in apprehension. Why ask now after all this time? Is someone acting particularly suspicious? Just the opposite. When I'm with everyone, all I see is a group of individuals who are passionate about their convictions. I can't wrap my mind around the idea that one of them could turn out to be a serial killer with Porter and Duke. Workaholic said I need to figure out who my enemies and allies are, but I have no clue. Am I just not cut out to be a detective? Is that what's troubling you? You truly are adorable. Holmes motions as if she were patting me on the head, smiling as she continues to speak. Consider this, Watto. Human beings cannot simply be divided into friends or foes. Let's say, for example, that Mystic Detective is the killer. Would you then fall the way he saved you today and act of evil? No, that isn't. Why are you hesitating? If he's the culprit, that makes him your sworn foe, doesn't it? I can't condone murder, but I can't see him as my enemy either. I wouldn't judge him without knowing the relevant context first. Well said. Good or evil, friend or foe. These denominations can always shift according to the situation and the view. I see why Workaholic suspects Renegade, but you needn't do the same with your fellow detectives, Watto. If you think you should trust them, then do so. Situation and point of view. She's right. I don't know what happened between Workaholic and Renegade, so I can't make any judgments. And that's to say nothing of how much I still don't know about the other detectives. I should start talking to each one of them so I can get to know their lives and personalities better. Free time? Looking to get to know the others better. A good call. And very much a you thing to do. I'm rooting for you, Watto. Dude, please stop reading my mind. There's no helping it. I hear you, even when you don't, even when I don't want to. We're halves of the whole, you and I. 2 minds in 1 body. If nothing else, I will always be at your side, okay? I would appreciate a little more trust on your part. Well, of course I trust you, Holmes. Holmes, you say? Hear a voice behind me and swivel around. Standing there is Mystic, a grim look on his face. Shoot, I completely dropped my guard. The sudden interruption sends my heart racing. I shoot Holmes a glance for guidance, but opportunity knocks. Why don't you go ahead and tell him about me? Holmes giggles next to Mystic, as if this whole situation doesn't concern her in the least. What have I got myself into? Wookie is asleep, so I decided to check on you all, only to stumble upon a chance finding. It is time you told me the full truth. Mystic Detective begins to approach me. He'd listen because he accepts new ideas. I wonder if he'll believe me if I say I was hallucinating like last night, or maybe that I was thinking out loud. I don't know how to spin this. Indifferent to my panicking, Mystic Detective stands up and poses one simple question to me. Are you able to perceive Holmes' spirit? Yeah! My voice cracks at the unexpected accusation. Allow me to make some tea before we begin. How many sugars do you take? Okay, so now I'm feeling like Mystic Detective is death flagging.
It's tea time!
Like, it literally could be that Downtown dies, but now I'm worried Mystic could also die, or he could die. Because whatever we tell him, he's gonna listen and believe it based on his profile.
Me.
3, 1. When people die, they just become part of our spirit posse? Then where is the fucking senior detective? Mystic Detective prepares tea for 2, then seats himself on the sofa across from me. I'd initially thought of him as gaudy, but looking at him now, he appears almost dignified. His actions in the trap room must have swayed me. My goodness! Do not be troubled. I am not here to rebuke you in any way. Yes, you really should relax. Tensing up all the time is a bad habit of yours, you know. I want to blurt out that she's the reason I'm so tense, but I tamp it down or it leaves my throat. Holmes floats cheerfully about next to Mystic, relishing in the fact that I can only see her. I finally start to realize how much more childish she is than my first impression of her. It's Holmes right beside me this moment. How did you know? Crap. Stupid me. I stepped right into that one. There's no explaining my way out of this anymore. Mystic studies me, chuckling wryly at what I assume is whatever stupid expression I'm wearing right now. Your face is far too telling for a detective. And again, perhaps that's a good thing. How did you know I was able to see Holmes? Don't tell me. You can see ghosts too? I cannot. Much as I sought to master the gift, it is not a simple one to acquire. I simply followed the movements of your line of sight. You were gazing at someone other than me, just as you had when you screamed that last night. While hallucinating, one's vision turns warped and unfocused. Therefore, I surmised that you were not delirious, but instead seeing clearly. Huh? Does that mean the others figured out I was lying too? They realize I can see Holmes. They might even catch on to my denouement of... Anyone finds out, you're certain to be eliminated, Watto. A chill runs through me as I recall Holmes's warning. Yeah. You're not. The shifts were too subtle for them to catch. Regardless, their disbelief in ghosts make it unlikely they would have touched upon the truth. That effectively makes me the only person who could deduce that you are able to see the spirit of Holmes. So be at ease. Okay, so Mystic is an ally. That's why I think he's gonna die, though, because Holmes is also our ally. Mystic laughs as if this is all no big deal. He's so quick to catch on that it's actually frightening. This may be a weird time to ask, but do ghosts actually exist? What an odd question. You are able to see Holmes right next to me, are you not? Precisely, Watto. It's about time you accepted the fact that I'm real instead of testing. Holmes sides with Mystic to pressure me. He can't even see her, yet in a weird way, they're still ganging up on me. It just isn't fair. Well, yes, I can see her and hear her voice, but in the end, it really isn't much comfort. Holmes died right before my very eyes, so being reunited is hard to believe. I keep worrying it's all some sort of convenient delusion. Watto. I understand. You fear that you are falling prey to your own cognitive bias. Cognitive bias? It's not a difficult notion. In this case, it would apply if, in order to reach your favorite conclusion, you only sought out the facts that confirmed it. You desire to be reunited with Holmes. You want to believe the Holmes you see is truly her, and so you seek affirmation, correct? Correct. It's just as Mystic says, I truly do hope that the Holmes I see now is actually her. Every piece of evidence she provides makes me believe she's the real Holmes, and that fills me with joy. I believe that the Holmes I see now really is her, and I have proof to support my thinking. But then I think that maybe all that proof is no more than my generous interpretation of things, meaning I can't trust myself. Most are unaware of their own biases, but as As you are willing to objectively assess yourself, I would say that you have little to worry about. Missing Detective sighs in mild exasperation before patting me on the head. There's nothing else for it. I, Missing Detective, shall personally instruct you in how to engage with the occult. With the occult? Incompetent detective, would you believe me if I said there's vampires and werewolves that do in fact exist? What do you mean mythical monsters? Come on, there's no way they're real. Indeed. And yet both vampires and werewolves have not only appeared in our world, but also been guilty of homicide. What? This detective operates his D-pad, calling up a collection of files. Case of the vampire, in which the bodies of young girls were found, their blood drained, or rather consumed. And the case of the Lysanthe, in which a renowned literary scholar's body was found clawed to shreds in a quiet residential area. Weren't both of these mentioned, or were these both just on his card? Yeah. I know the name of both these famous cases, and now I see a commonality between the two. Incompetent detective, do you know what these incidents have in common? Are inexplicable unsolved cases. I remember them trending online. The crimes seemed so inhuman in nature that their investigations went cold. Yes, but in reality, the culprits have been identified in both cases. The police simply avoided making it public. What? Why would the police want to keep that under wraps? Because the perpetrators were far too anomalous? Lugosi Kamaris, the culprit involved in the case of the vampire, suffers from allotriophagy with an appetite for feasting on the blood of women. The Hungarian police struggled to uncover the reason for the crime. They also have yet to arrest Kamaris, which shames them to this day. Didn't realize a disease like that actually existed. Seemingly rare, but yes. Accessible examples can occasionally be found in shocking television features on people who eat dirt or iron. Like that Obsession show that's really cringe to watch. Theories abound as to why, but Kamaris has a high red blood cell count, causing constant dehydration. His thirst for water and iron drove him to murder. It also gives him exceptional muscular endurance and regeneration. He is thus gifted with superhuman movement, with which he evades the police. This sounds like something straight out of a comic book or movie. Indeed, but this is reality. The crime took place over a decade ago, and Kamaris has been on the run ever since. A truly terrifying man. And yet, Miku Shizaki, culprit behind the case of the Lysanthe, resolved by myself, is even more of a bizarre case than Kamaris. Huh? Even more than a vampire? What do they do? Mystic clenches his fist, veins pulsing as he speaks. He raised her own daughter as a mere tool for revenge. Daughter, a tool for revenge? What does that even mean? Do you know about foot binding? In one foreign land, small feet were once so prized that youths were made to shape them by wearing specialized shoes. Oh, I've heard about that. The shoes stunted bone growth, making the feet unnaturally tiny, right? It's difficult to imagine how, but apparently the custom was seen as quite ordinary in this country where small feet were so idealized. It's China. In the same vein, many women suffer similarly torturous processes today, such as extreme dieting, the pursuit of unrealistic beauty. Izaki followed the principles of foot binding by cramming her own daughter into a box. Instead of schooling the girl, she was instructed how to kill. In so doing, she created the world's smallest murderer, capable of slipping into dwellings through unbelievably tight spaces. Why would she do something so terrible? How could any human be that inhumane? I'll spare you the details, but it was all due to one mere envy. There are those who despise the success of others to the point of self-inflation. The girl found in Shizaki's house had never had hair or nails cut and was incapable of speech. No more than a beast. The police couldn't even envision the outlandish truth. As such, no one listened to the victim's daughter, claimed the culprit was a werewolf. But when the DA sent me in, I believed the child solving the case. Had I not considered the possible existence of werewolves, it would have remained cold. That must have been tough for the victim's daughter. No one believed her eyewitness account or her father's killer. Quite so. But if you were in the police's position, would you have humored the girl? If you were told that a crime was committed by a vampire or a werewolf, would you be ready to believe it? Well, while they were obviously horrible stories, when I think back on the past experience, I honestly can't criticize the police for their actions. If I had known nothing about the occult and only read about these cases, I likely would have brushed them off without ever knowing the insane reality. It seems your way of thinking would have hardly differed from theirs. Missa gives a pained smile as though he is peering right into my very soul. You needn't be so hard on yourself about it. Most people scoff at the mere mention of the occult, which I think is quite natural. Just now, when I inquired about vampires and werewolves, you denied their existence. Can't object at all. I'm no different from anyone else who immediately dismisses the occult. And that's exactly how I'm treating the phenomenon happening right now too. I probably thought my current situation was also an impossible supernatural occurrence and laughed it off. It is only natural to feel that way if you have not seen a single person who believes you. If you will permit me, incompetent detective, I believe you can see the deceased Holmes. She has a liking for honest men like yourself, after all. Thank you. It's reassuring to hear. I take Mystic's outstretched palm and exchange a firm handshake with him. He's death flagging. It feels as if a burden I've been shouldering by myself has finally been removed. As I've shown, the world is rife with that which can only be defined as supernatural. One can never see the truth if they are fettered by common sense. Thus, despite what mockery I may incur, I believe in the occult, never discounting any possibility. Only I, Mystic Detective, can fulfill this role. I see no traces of gloom in this man's smile. The man before me, like Holmes, is another top-notch detective, willing to become a martyr for what he believes in. Any character development, death flags. Yeah, it kind of feels that way. But, like, can the narrative afford to leave a character like this alive? He literally knows we can see Holmes. And he saved us from a previous predicament, which basically clears that he's probably not the killer. We're gonna stew on that while I go pee real quick, so be right back. Oh, why hello. Alright. Onward we go. So, Spiritual Detective officially knows too much to the point where I think he's death flagging. This is like kind of the same thing that happened to Ideal Detective, so I feel like the narrative probably has to kill him off soon. Because I'm pretty clear of him at this point. I also kind of have this theory that every case mentioned in a character's report has to be discussed at some point. So, at this point, everything relating to this character has been talked about. So the game is kind of free to kill him. He's the only one that fits that criteria. Although, senior detectives' cases were never discussed, so maybe my theory is wrong. Holmes said the same thing. Once the facts have disproven all other options, that which remains must also be fact. Ha! Those are the very words I passed on to her. To think that little contrarian would grow into such a splendid individual. Watch what you say, Mr. Detective. Holmes, who had been floating lazily in the air, shoots down towards Mystic. Of course, Mystic is entirely unperturbed since he can't actually hear her. Were you close to home, Mystic? When the detective alliance was established with her at its core, an associate of mine invited me to join. You could consider me a founding member. You're a founding member, Mystic? And the organization was established around Holmes? Ah, did she not tell you? I warned her time and time again that being overly secretive would be her undoing. Forgive her, she means no harm, but she tends to take on far too much on her own. Her body was often unable to handle the strain. Her efforts eventually bore fruit, and she became chief of the Alliance in both name and deed. And to me, she'll always be a little crybaby. Hey now, enough with this ancient history. Are you trying to make Watto disappointed in me? Holmes swings her fist in quick succession, failing to strike Mystic each and every time. It's cute to see her react in a way that matches her age, in lieu of her usual cool self. Though I can't really picture Holmes as being a crybaby. I take it she's swinging her fists at me. Yeah, you're spot on. Oh. Ever so quick to get physical, she never changes. How dearly I wish to see her once more. Holmes drops her fists, returning to face me. A hint of tears glint in her eyes. Watto, would you mind telling Mystic Detective something for me? Huh? Even though I'm the only one who can hear her, Holmes drifts close to me and whispers gently in my ear. Holmes wants to tell you something, Mystic. A message from the Ideal Detective. What did she say? She says, I'm sorry that we weren't able to solve the case of the vampire. All my resolve and determination has passed on to incompetent now. Foolish girl. Even after her own demise, she still only thinks of others. Listen to me, Holmes. Don't go resting in peace just yet. I swear that incompetent detective and I will catch whoever. When that moment comes, I would like for you to be there.
ああ見届けてやるさだから
I'll be watching. You had better make sure to live a good life.
魔界
A good long life, Mystic Detective. Mystic can't see Holmes, and yet they seem to be looking right into each other's eyes as they exchange the words. I notice my drink is nearly empty. The hour is growing late. I really should finish my tea and rest up for tomorrow. But when I raise the cup to my lips,
そうだ、無能探偵。もしかしてお前は未来を予知すること
Ideal
が
just
あるんじ
planted
ゃ
a
ないか
really big death flag. I've been definitely feeling like he's death flagging already, and I agree. Ah, that reminds me, incompetent detective. Tell me, can you also predict the future? I spit my tea out at the unexpected question.
その反応。
Reaction says it
やは
all.
りそうか。
So it is indeed as I
予想通
surmised.
りだ。
How did you know? Was it my line of sight
知って
again?
わかったんですか？
いや、
No.
今日わ
Remember
ら
how
べ屋
you
で
saved
飛
Doleful
躍
in
探
that
偵を
trap
救っ
room
てみ
today?
せただろ
Your actions then tipped me
ホー
off.
ムズも予測を
Holmes was
得意とし
quite
ていたから
adept with her predictions,
もしかした
so
らと
I
思
had
った
an
んだ
inkling. I can tell by your visage that
その
you've
浮かない
yet to
顔を
master
見
the
る
skill,
限り
however.
全然。
実は
Well,
そ
you'd
の
be right
通
about
りなん
that.
です。
He saw right through me. Holmes said I can't let my enemies learn about this power. Thankfully, it's only Mystic, but I need to be more careful.
今日飛躍君を救えたのも完
It
全
was
に
pure
偶然
chance that I was able to save
どうすれ
Doleful.
ばこの
Learning
力
how
を
to
使える
use
の
and
か
control this
悩ん
power
でいるんで
has
す。
been a real struggle for me.
ホームズはなんと。
What did Holmes say?
原理などどうで
That
も
she
い
had
い。
no interest in how it works.
さすがだな。
As expected. And
原理
yet,
がわから
if
な
you
け
do
れば
not grasp the
使いこな
principles
せない
behind
と
it,
いうの
cannot wield it to its full
困った
extent.
娘だ。
Such a troublesome child.
失敬な
Rude. I mastered it perfectly well without understanding the mechanics. You should be more than capable of doing the same, Watto. Holmes purses her lips in protest, while Mystic Detective lets out a laborious sigh. Needless to say, her words don't reach him.
これだから感覚
This is
派の
why
天才は
geniuses
困
who
る
do everything
な。今後のためにも
extempore are so
少しばかり
difficult.
原理について私
For
も
the
考
sake
え
of our
てみる。
futures, I shall contemplate your abilities'
よ
workings.
ければ
If you do not
今
mind,
まで
would
経
you
験し
share
た話
all
を
you
聞
have
かせてもらえ
experienced
る
up to the present?
時間は平気ですか？
It's not getting too late for you?
安心しろ。
Fret not, I'm
私
a
は
night
夜
owl.
型だ。
I'm a detective
なん
of
せ
all
魔界
that
の
is
探
mystical
偵だか
after
ら
all.
何ですかそれ？
What's that supposed to mean? Mystic brews us up another pot of tea. We discuss the denouement ability I inherited from Holmes and my new-found powers of precognition. I was so worried that it was gonna be like, oh, it's getting late, let's talk about it tomorrow, and then he dies. But instead, I guess we're just telling him.
なぜ予知ができる
Let
の
us
か
attempt to reason out
理屈を
why
考えて
it
みる
is
ぞ。
that you are able to predict the future.
超能力ですし
Does logic really apply here? I mean, it's basically a superpower.
それは違うぞ。
That is where you're
たとえ
wrong.
超能力
Even
や
magic
魔
and
法であ
superpowers
って
have
も
logic
ゲ
to
ーム
them.
の魔法を
Video
唱えるに
games,
も
magic
MP が
requires
必要であ
points
ったり
derived from your
属性
attributes
や
and
系統
skills.
が決められて
So
いた
to
り
do
するだ
all
ろう。
things. The occult
たとえオカル
included
トであ
follow a
って
set
も
of rules.
ほうけた顔をして
Why do you
どう
look
した
so
んだ
perplexed?
いや
I just
魔界さんも
didn't take you
ゲ
for
ーム
much
と
of a
かす
gamer.
るんだな
Yeah, that's a really weird example.
舐めてもらっては
Not
困るな。
underestimate me. You stand
初代
before the
リュウクエ
man
を
who
発売日に
bought
買
the
った
very
男だ
first
ぞ
copy of
私は。
Ryukue the day it went
ま
on
あそれ
sale.
はさておきだ。
But never mind that.
いくら
If
予
you
知
were a
能
real
力と
fan,
い
you
え
would
ど
have
も
bought it on release.
根拠を抜
Regardless
きに予
of
知でき
your
るわけがない。
prescience abilities, you cannot predict a single thing without a basis
今
in
日予
facts.
知をした時
Did
に
anything noteworthy
何か
occur
特
when you
別
made
な
your
ことが
prediction
起きな
today?
かったか。
That,
そういえば飛躍君の姿を見た瞬間に
now that you mention it, when I saw Doleful in my vision, I heard something snap in my head. My field of view flickered too.
ビンゴだ。
Eureka.
ならお
This
前
suggests
の能
your
力は
ability is linked
視
to
覚情
visual
報に
cues,
紐づき
to which
脳
your
が
brain
何らかの
responds in
働きを
some
その
manner.
線で可能性を探
Let
っ
us
てみよ
continue
う。
pursuing this train of thought. Mystic is willing to believe me no matter what I say. I wanted to discuss my precognitive abilities with someone, anyone, but I didn't expect to find such a supportive ally. Ryukue is a Dragon Quest reference, is it? I've only played Dragon Quest 8 and 11, so I think that one went over my head. It's reassuring to say, at the least, I'm grateful from the bottom of my heart that I'm able to speak to Mystic about this.
楽しそうだな。
I can tell you're enjoying yourself, Watto. It's almost enough to make me envious.
はい、楽
Yeah,
しいで
I'm
す。
having fun. It's exciting to see the mysterious and obscure start to take shape.
その息だ。
That's the spirit. No doubt about it, you're gradually approaching the truth. And once you understand it all,
君が
I'll...
全てを理解した時こそ。
今なんて
You'll what?
独り言さ。
Pay me no mind. I was merely thinking aloud. That's the spirit, no doubt about it. You're gradually... She'll respawn? I think she's saying she'll leave. Once we understand it, she won't be needed. I think that's where she was going. From there, my conversation with Mystic continues all the way until dawn. And we got no sleep, apparently.
あれここは
Oh shit, is he gonna have another dream? Huh, where is this? I realize I'm in a world of pure white. It leaves me in a daze for a moment, but the bizarreness of it all gradually keys me in. I'm in a dream.
今回はすぐに夢だと気づいた。
Well, well, Watto. This time you figured out that you're dreaming from the outset. Holmes is suddenly right behind me. The abruptness strikes me as fitting for a dream. Sensing I've accepted the situation, Holmes keeps talking as she walks around the area.
さて、問題だ。
The question is, has your discussion with Mystic Detective led you to ascertain the nature of your newly awakened denouement? She's referring to what happened before I fell asleep. I racked my brain, trying to recollect my conversation with Mystic. It starts coming back to me in bits and pieces.
そうだ
Well, strictly speaking, the denouement isn't a power that predicts the future, but one that allows you to see through
視覚
everything.
情報に起因するものだって
Mystic believes it stems from visual feedback.
ああ、ビンゴだよ。
Right on the mark.
人間
They
の
say the
脳は
human brain
視界に
records
映った
everything
全てを
that it
記憶
sees,
していて、
but simply
ただ
isn't
思い
able
出
to
せない
recall it all
実
to
際
mind.
今回のメンバーの中
Even
に
within our group,
見たも
we
のを
have
完全
Bookworm
に記憶する
with
こと
the
に
incredible ability to remember all she's seen. Our visual recollection is far greater than we realize. That flawless recollection of everything she's ever seen is the cause of Bookworm's suffering. Now I realize why she was so glum about using her ability while we set up the cameras. It hurts to think back on how high my spirits were back then. Being unable to forget a single thing must be far more taxing than I imagine.
さて、本題へと。
Yeah, like her parents dying. Now for the real question. If you could recall all you see, honing your eye to perfection would allow you to record information in greater detail, no?
単純な
Not
映像
only
の情
images,
報だけ
but
でなく
movements, subtle
物の動きや
minutia,
微細な知識
or a residual
果ては
thought like me.
私のような
What would
在
happen
日
if you
思
could
念
perceive
で世界
all
の
the
あら
world
ゆる
has to
も
show?
の
Huh? What would happen?
君も体験したと
As you've already experienced, you would see the future. That is the real nature behind the foresight the Newman has bestowed upon you. By knowing everything, you can predict the future. I think I've heard something like that before. Isn't that called, a place's demon?
よく学んでいるな。
Well done. Yes, this is the same
結果
principle.
には必ず
Every-
因果がある。
Excuse me. Every outcome has a
因果を
cause.
すべて把握すれば、
Therefore, if you can grasp
結果
all
を導き出
causes,
すことができるというわけさ。
you can derive all outcomes, paradoxical as it may sound.
じゃあ目に映るもの
So
を注
if
意
I
深く
pay
見ていけば
close enough attention to everything that passes my field of vision,
ああ、自然と未来が見え
yes,
るようになるという
it
わけ
stands
さ
to。follow that you will become able to envision the
魔
future.
界探偵の
I
君の話
surmise
を
this
聞いている
as
うち
you
に
and Mystic spoke.
私の中でも結論が出たよ。
Causality via
研
sharpened
ぎ澄まされ
vision
た
is
視
the
覚による
crux of the
因果の把
denouement,
握こそが
as well as how you
遠
can
慮し
perceive
いわば
me.
君は全てを見通す
Essentially,
目を手に入
you
れたんだ。
bestowed with my all-seeing eyes, so to speak. My body shivers at her words. Her explanation drives home how amazing this power really is. However, it also raises a question.
これまでは
You kept telling me the principles behind the denouement didn't matter. Why suddenly explain it now?
嫌だったんだよ
I couldn't take it. Huh? Did she flush a tinge of embarrassment in her voice?
君に頼りな
I
い
didn't want you to think I was unreliable. So from now on, trust me.
私を頼る
Not Mystic. After all, I'm ideal detective, ranked number 2 in the detective alliance. There's nothing I don't know. Must be dreaming. Well, I mean, I am dreaming. But it's all just a bit too convenient. Would the real Holmes actually speak this brashly? I'm taken aback by her out-of-the-blue response, unable to formulate a reply. Her face feels hot, like lava. I must be as red or even worse than Holmes right now. Just thinking about it, so mortifying that my skin is about to erupt. We stare at each other in total silence, our faces glowing rosily.
あの
Oh, Holmes,
Holmes-san.
I have a question. I speak out, unable to handle any more of this. That's right, I still haven't confirmed whether she really is Saika or not. If I don't ask now, I may never have another chance. I don't want to lose contact without ever bringing it up. This is a dream, so I trust my chances, find my courage, and voice my thoughts.
ホームズさん
Holmes,
あなたは
10 years
本当に
ago, were you really...
執念
止めんじゃねえバカ野郎
Why are we getting interrupted? Don't try and stop me, you slack-jawed palooka. It's morning. I leap upright, awakened by a sudden, angry voice. Apparently, I fell asleep on the sofa. I must have passed out while conversing with Mystic, upon which he covered me with a blanket.
すみません魔界さん
Sorry, Mystic. It pains me the way I was nothing but a burden yesterday. I don't want people babysitting me. I need to shape up and be a real detective. And then there's that dream I just had.
結局
Didn't
ホーム
get
ズさん
to
は
ask
聞け
her
なかった
after
の
all. I thumped my chest lightly, determined to work up enough courage to ask next time. Enough about my denouement and visual feedback or whatever. I need to stop acting like such a coward and be brave when it matters most.
もうやるしかねえっつってんだよ
Like I said, ain't nothing to do but do it. This is no time to be down on myself. Angry voices clamor in my periphery as I space out. It sounds like things are getting heated. I need to see what's going on fast.
あ、いたいた無能先輩ちょっと来てよヤマトちゃんと武装のアホがマジでヤバいんだって
There you are, incompetent. You gotta get over your stat. Rowdy and Armor are going like totally buck wild.
今すぐ行くよ
Okay, I'm right behind you. Downtown dashes to the entrance hall, pulling me along. Alright. We are about to get into the next leg of chapter 2. And we are like 4 minutes from when I'm gonna stop stream. So rather than getting into a whole big discussion that we won't remember next week when we start playing, I think we're gonna make our save. And cliffhang that shit. Oh boy. So this week I'll be releasing stream schedule. I'll be releasing stream schedule tomorrow. I'll be here at least 4 days next week, so I will see you guys then. I love you all. Please have a good start to your work week. I know I will. Get enough sleep, be merry, take care, and goodbye.